short rib's got this lovely flavor and it really braises really well. And then when you pull that meat off of the bone and that is inside your patty, it's like you've taken a patty from here to like here. So I highly recommend. It's a little bit more work, a little bit more love, but you get a little bit more at the end. Hi, my name is Dom, or Chef Dom Taylor. I'm the winner of 5-Star Chef. And right now I'm going to show you some classic Caribbean patties. I'm making my own filling using some short rib and some butter beans, but it's taking a classic principle and just slightly refining it, slightly heightening it, if you will. So a patty is like a pastry, think like a Cornish pasty, if you will. It's a meaty, sometimes veggie or fish filling. Patties you will always see come out at birthdays and celebrations. It's that really easy pass around food. People can eat it with their hands, but it's also really hearty. I'd say that within the Caribbean, it plays the role of a sandwich. So now we're gonna start off by making the pastry so that we can get that nice and chilled. So we're gonna start off with some plain flour and some cold butter. And some sugar, some nice white sugar, some seasoning. I'm using my pink Himalayan, but some sea salt, it's all good. And a little bit of turmeric, which is gonna give it my nice color. You just wanna push that butter in your fingertips with the flour and create these breadcrumbs. And then I've got some ice cold water, which is gonna bring my dough together. If your dough gets a little bit wet, you can add a little bit more flour. And if your pastry feels a little bit dry, you can add a little bit more water. But you want to get that into a metal bowl, cling film it over and let that chill down for at least an hour. My short rib's been cleaned and ready to go. You don't want to remove all of that fat because that fat is really where you're gonna get your flavor in your end product. I've got a nice smoking hot pan. I'm gonna go in with some coconut oil and I'm gonna just season the pan with some salt and pepper. And I'm gonna go in with that short rib. And what I'm looking for on the short rib is I want to get a really nice color. That color is really what's going to give you your flavor in your end product. When I was taught to cook at home, it was always you had to marinate your meat and then brown your meat. But arguably, and I know people are going to come for me for this, is when you start to brown your meat, I feel like it changes the flavors of the spices too much. So some things it works, but for me this dish, it makes more sense to brown the meat, get a really good color on it, and then add your spices. So I'm gonna get that beef out and just let that sit on the side. And we're gonna add that back to the pan in a short while. Look at that short rib. In the pan, I've gone in with my onion and my carrots. You know, don't spend hours trying to dice those all perfectly. By the time the meat's falling off the bone here, these vegetables would have completely broken down into your beautiful, delicious sauce that's gonna make the filling of your patty. I'm gonna get in there with my thyme. I'm gonna put in a whole Scotch bonnet pepper. This is gonna give me my aroma and flavor of Scotch bonnet without giving me too much heat. Super important. I'm gonna get a bay leaf in there. I'm gonna get some whole ginger in there. With the skin on, I've just given it a wash. I'm gonna give it a little crack and get that in the pan. And later on, when I take out my aromatics, this ginger will come out. I'm gonna put in my garlic. You could dice it up really fine, a little small grater, which is what I'm gonna use. Like when I think back to being a kid, I'd see my mum and my nan in the kitchen and like they'd be cooking Sunday dinner and it's starting on Saturday afternoon when we got back from shopping. And this ritual, it was this thing that really brought the family together. It's where you saw like the love really happen in the room, you know? So that still lives on in me. So I'm going in with my pimento. Now this has been cooking for a good amount of time. We're going in with our spices now. So I've got some ground coriander going in. I've got some ground cinnamon. You can use cinnamon sticks. I use cinnamon sticks a lot at home, but you can also use the ground cinnamon. We've got some celery salt. I've got some smoked paprika. I've got some ground ginger. We're only gonna go in with a little bit of ground ginger. We have got our fresh ginger in there, but I find that ground ginger and fresh ginger bring two different notes, and I want them both. I want this to be really singing. I've got some curry powder, some Jamaican curry powder going in there. And then we're gonna get your tomato paste in there, which we wanna warm through with your spices. And that's gonna just almost bring like the sweetness out of the tomatoes. When you warm up spices, it really brings them back to life. And then I'm gonna go in with my stock. I'm gonna get my short rib back in there. And then some liquid, and that's ready to braise down. As you can see now, everything's inside. I've got my stock in there, all my spices are in there. We're gonna let that cook for at least 2.5 hours. So I'm gonna grab my one that I prepared earlier, and we're gonna start to take that off the bone. Then we're gonna roll out our pastry, and we're ready to start building our patties. Let's go. So here I've got my mix. It's already been cooked, it's chilled down. If you do have any fat on top, spoon that off. But we're gonna take out our thyme and take out our ginger and our bay leaf. If you put a whole Scotch bonnet in, make sure you get that out. And then we're gonna start to pull down our meat. What you're looking for is you want that meat to start falling away nice and gently. You see that? It's gonna be lovely inside your patty. So here we have our short rib, which we've pulled off the bone. We've got some of our nice sauce in there and some of those vegetables that have just started to break down from that stewing process. For me, I want to add some butter beans. So I'm going to just roughly chop some butter beans through that mix. And then my spring onions has gone into the mix. So now I'm ready to roll out my pastry. So my pastry's just come from the fridge. It's nice and soft and easy to handle. And you want to roll it out to about the thickness of a £1 coin is what you're looking for. Not too thin, not too thick. Then I'm going to use a ring cutter and to cut out my pastry. You can use anything round, a mug, a plate. You don't want to overfill your patty, otherwise it can be a little bit challenging to close. But you want to get that mix in the bottom semicircle of your patty, and you want to leave about a ½ inch around the edge. And then you are ready to close your patties. So you want to fold that top half over your bottom half. So now the patties are closed. I'm going to use the fork, which is going to make the traditional trademark patty fork mark. And then lastly, super important, a hole. If you don't make a hole, that filling's gonna come bursting out. So I just make 2 little holes at the back, at the bottom. They're gonna go in the oven. A patty this size will be ready in about 8 to 10 minutes. I'm gonna rustle up a little salad and a mango spicy dipping sauce that I think are gonna go lovely with your patties. I've got some nice, lovely heirloom tomatoes, and I'm gonna just chop those nice and roughly. No messing about with perfect sizes and shapes. We don't do that. Your salad will be nice and fresh. I'm gonna get some avocado in there. I'm gonna get some lime juice and zest in here. I've got a little bit of olive oil. And we'll give that a little mix. And then we'll get a little bit of Scotch bonnet in there. Just a tiny bit of Scotch bonnet. You don't wanna go crazy. And then as those patties are cooking, Those tomatoes are just pulling in all of that saltiness and that zestiness and that acidity. And then we're gonna make a nice little dip. So I've just got some mango that I've pureed down. So I'm gonna just put a little bit of cider vinegar in there. Little bit of salt. That salt's gonna really bring out that sweetness. Little bit of pepper. And again, we're going in with some Scotch bonnet. Because again, this is sweet, you're not gonna feel the spice in the same way that you would if it was a savory dish. So I'm gonna go big. Perfect. Oh, perfect. Let's get a little bit of zest in there. Yeah. As you can see, nice, they've got a nice little bit of a crisp to them almost, if you will. And then as those cool down, they're gonna be delicious. So these are quite small patties, so I would serve 2. And then we've got some of that lovely, zesty, slightly spicy, juicy tomato and avocado salad. Those beautiful herb tomatoes. Then we've got some of that mango dip, which is all lovely. Can't wait to try these bad boys. Ah, look at that. That is insane. Honestly, the first thing that hit my palate was that mango, but then I got shortbread and the pastry, and definitely worth the time and the effort. Make these your friends. They are gonna be like, no, who are you? Like, they're gonna be super impressed. Really great dish. Patties are delicious anyway, but you start adding short rib to the mix and you've taken it to another level. I'm hoping as you're watching this, you're clapping and going, nah, do you know what? Short rib patty, I can get behind that. If you're not, don't message me.